Tonight, the desperate police search to find two children, the 3 and 5-year-olds taken from their home in Melbourne's east. Live coverage. Also, mystery case and exposure site numbers soar again. But the PM tells the premiers they have to move forward from lockdowns. Breaking news on childcare relief to end confusion and frustration for families. Exclusive, a cyclist run down in a road rage shock in St Kilda. And the AFL Grand Final in limbo. Players heading back into a finals hub to finish the season.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell.
Good evening. Police are desperately trying to find two children snatched from their home. They were taken this morning when an intruder broke into the family's house in Melbourne's east. Tegan Doling is in Blackburn North with the latest. And Tegan, they've been missing for 9 hours now.
Mitch, it's a massive police operation to find the children as well as the man who took them. But they need the public's help and they're asking everyone right across Victoria to keep a lookout for the siblings, as well as the family's black Mercedes, which was also stolen during the abduction. The frantic search for 3-year-old Bilal and 5-year-old Dilla now missing for more than 9 hours. The siblings still dressed in their pyjamas when they were taken from their Blackburn North home.
We saw a lady on the nature strip and her mouth was bound, her hands were bound and her feet and everything. So we thought that was strange, and then she was just screaming and there was someone there helping her, and the police had obviously just arrived as well.
She was terrified, really terrified. Well, as you would if this sort of thing happens.
So she has injuries that are being treated at the moment. We have police with her and she's receiving the best treatment possible. She's very upset.
The armed intruder broke into the home just after 8 a.m. He assaulted the 32-year-old mother before taking the children and the family's 2014 black Mercedes, registration BEQ 882. The vehicle seen on CCTV driving east along Springfield Road at 8:45.
What I'm appealing for today is anyone in the public that may have seen that black Mercedes Benz. The two children that we're dealing with today, obviously they would be in great fear and obviously wanting to see their mum and dad and be reunited with them.
The children's father was at work at the time.
We're working on the premise that it is isolated, and obviously we're working closely with mum and dad to try and ascertain further information.
The family of 4 moved into the house last year. Today, dozens of police and detectives door-knocked and searched the neighbourhood. With no word on the well-being of the siblings, a race to piece together the crime and an appeal to those responsible.
It's not too late. You can still return these children, and I implore you, please, to let those children go so that they can be returned to their parents where they should be.
Oh, they're gorgeous. they're beautiful little kids, yeah. Very young.
The man is described as having dark skin and was wearing a black hooded jumper and surgical mask at the time of the abduction.
Strange and a bit scary as well. I've got a child of my own.
Scary. It's scary having something like that happen next door.
Especially because we live so close as well, just if what happened, if there's someone out there still we need to be concerned about and just what's going on.
An anxious night tonight, Mitch, and I'll bring you any update as it happens throughout the hour.
Tegan Doling at Blackburn North. We'll try to cross back to Tegan a little later tonight. Victoria's COVID case numbers are surging in the 3rd week of this lockdown. Mystery cases and the number of people infectious in the community have all jumped sharply despite the tougher restrictions, leading to calls for a rethink.
18 days into our 6th lockdown, Victoria fights a losing battle. The state recording 71 new COVID cases, 22 of them, or 30%, are mysteries, putting pressure on our contact tracers.
It compares to 11 mystery cases we had yesterday and 10 the day before. That's a significant jump.
Just 16 of today's new cases were in isolation while infectious. That means 77% were out in the community, potentially infecting others with the highly transmissible Delta variant. Their movements have seen the number of exposure sites soar past 600.
That's a significant jump. And we're seeing again a spread into new suburbs in the Melbourne area. suburbs like Essendon West, Camberwell, Thornbury and Fitzroy North, Maidstone, and then all the way down to Sorrento.
The majority of today's new cases are in Shepparton, a cluster for which there is still no known source. An additional 10 are connected to Newport.
I'm particularly appealing to really to younger men in the Newport area, Newport and Altona North area. If you're active in the community, if you're in your 20s and your 30s, come forward and get tested.
Also growing, cases linked to the Royal Melbourne Hospital after a Shepparton man was admitted for surgery on the 12th but only found to have COVID-19 days later. 4 patients and 6 staff at the hospital have since tested positive. 450 workers have been furloughed as a result of potential exposure. It comes as the hospital itself treats 12 COVID patients, 3 of them in intensive care.
From now on, there will be testing before all planned operations will require COVID testing beforehand. Those arrangements are being put in place now by all of our health services. Some have had that in place for a while. And all of our emergency department staff are now in Tier 3 PPE.
The number of Victorians in hospital with COVID-19 is growing every day. There are now 29. 21 of them are under 50. 1 is an infant.
Kids get COVID. We have seen kids spreading within their families with a very high attack rate within their families, as the Premier just outlined with the example of some of the schools. We've also seen kids transmitting to each other.
And they're no less symptomatic than older Victorians.
We've also got examples of children, collapsing at school and vomiting at school. That's how ill they are. And when we then go to the households, we realise that there are not just one person's positive, but actually there are a number of people in the household who are positive. There are a range of symptoms being displayed.
A reminder that every one of us is at risk of catching COVID-19 as it seeds across the city and the state.
There are now more than 600 exposure alerts in suburbs right across Melbourne, as we heard. Jody Lee is at BMW Brighton tonight. And Jody, that is now a Tier 1 site.
Well, Mitch, this car dealership was added to the list of exposure alerts just before midnight. Worryingly, it is a Tier 1 site for 4 full days. It would appear that someone worked here while infectious from Tuesday to Friday of last week. Now, that means that anyone who was here on those days between 9 a.m. and 6 o'clock each day needs to test and isolate for a full 14 days. There are also a number of other new Tier 1 sites that have been listed. Most are in Shepparton, but there is one in St Albans. It is the Emmanuel Medical Clinic. A timely reminder that regardless of where you live, it is important to keep across this growing list of exposure alerts. Mitch?
Jody Lee at BMW Brighton, thank you. The Prime Minister has delivered a strong message to premiers, telling them we have to move forward from lockdowns. Scott Morrison says the tough restrictions are not sustainable and we need to open up when we hit vaccination targets.
A drive-through vaccination hub opens in the old Ford factory car park as the Prime Minister warns premiers stick to the plan to open up at 80% vaccinated.
The plan sets out that we have to move forward. We cannot hold back.
He said lockdowns are unsustainable.
If not at 70% and 80%, then when? Then when? We must make that move.
The Premier says statewide lockdowns will be highly unlikely then, but...
Well, we're not making stone tablets here, mate. I can't rule out masks or some other measure if we had a really nasty outbreak.
He also blames the federal government announcement of increased Pfizer availability for under 40s next month for cancellations now.
We've got about 10,000 people a day that are either no-shows or are cancelling. That's double what it was a week ago. Getting vaccinated today is better than joining the queue in a fortnight.
Experts say the government should at least consider moving to a soft lockdown.
Knowing the numbers will go up, but that we'll catch it. We'll catch it about October with the increase in vaccination coverage and turn it at around 300, 400 cases per day.
The Premier rejects that.
The notion of Delta bubbling is really hard unless you've got really tough rules on. So you start to open up and it won't be bubbling, it'll be raging.
Professor Blakely warns we may have to get used to thousands of daily cases when we open up with 80% vaccinated. Other experts are more optimistic.
When we open at 70 to 80% vaccination, we will have people with COVID. We will have cases, and unfortunately we will even have some deaths from COVID, but it will be at a manageable low level.
In New South Wales today, 818 new cases and 3 deaths. 60 people faced fines for attending a church service.
We declare that lockdowns are over. In the name of Jesus, lockdowns are over.
And back at Campbellfield, the signs are good. Over the weekend, they opened up online bookings for the first 2 days. They were all snapped up virtually straight away.
The less people that are left unvaccinated, the smaller and more manageable the pandemic of the unvaccinated will be.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
The AFL Grand Final remains in limbo tonight as the league works to pull together its second COVID final series. Players have been told to pack for a finals bubble, but the MCG still hasn't been ruled out.
Another year of COVID chaos, but footy's biggest prize looms as shiny as ever. Although just where the Premiership Cup will be lifted this September is still unknown.
We've been in conversations, particularly with the Western Australian government and the South Australian government. Both have put together very compelling pictures. We're in a really good position. We just need a decision in the next few days.
Footy-starved Victorians will again go hungry for a second straight final series. Tasmania will host 2 finals in week 1 with a 10,000 capacity in Launceston, while Adelaide Oval's capacity will remain at 15,000 for its 2 qualifying finals. Victorian teams preparing to pack their bags for a September on the road. Once they leave this weekend, they won't return home until they're knocked out of the finals race.
We'll keep those teams on the road and fixture week 2 outside of Victoria.
After 57 years of heartache, Melbourne heads into this final series as the sentimental favourite.
You catch yourself sometimes thinking about what if, why can't it be us?
The hope of breaking a 57-year premiership drought, helping Demon diehards get through lockdown.
I'm praying, we're full of hope. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves just yet, but keeping a lid on it.
In many ways, this year has been even more difficult than last season for the AFL. Lockdowns, border closures and empty stadiums. It's been a logistical nightmare. But as this year's official finals campaign says,
the harder the fight, the bigger the prize.
Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
There's finally some good news for parents with a federal government lifeline to childcare centres. Jackie Felgate joins us now with the details. And Jackie, this comes just as new childcare rules take effect tonight.
That's right, Mitch. From midnight, Victorian childcare is closed to everyone except families with at least one essential worker. Today, though, some relief with a new support package from the federal government, which will provide 25% of the childcare centres' pre-lockdown revenue and 40% for after-school care. The new payments are conditional on staff being retained and centres waiving gap fees for those families not able to send their children to care. That means families won't be out of pocket if their children are no longer able to attend due to the new restrictions.
We certainly will be insisting that if they are taking advantage of this additional payment, that they will waive the gap fees. That's very important for parents. Parents shouldn't have to pay if they're not attending the childcare centre.
Such a relief for parents. The funding will be available for all states in any future lockdowns, Mitch.
Jackie Felgate, thank you. We've got new details tonight on the tragic crash that killed a mother and 2 children in Parkville on Friday. Cameron Bowe joins us now. And Cameron, the children's father has released a statement.
Mitch, he's done his best to express his grief over his enormous loss, but also the gratitude he's feeling towards those who are supporting him at the moment. Kobe Poole was a mother of 5 and a nurse. She and 2 of her young children were killed in a crash on Flemington Road on Friday. Her daughter Chloe was 8, son Harrison was just 20 months. Their father Craig has released a statement which in part says, "I have no words to describe how we're all feeling. This tragedy will take some time to process and we ask for some privacy at this time. The circumstances of the crash are still being investigated by the Major Collision Investigation Unit. They are waiting on the results of some forensic tests as part of that investigation, Mitch.
Cameron Bowe at Police Headquarters, thank you. A violent road rage fight has erupted between a group of cyclists and a driver in St Kilda. The motorist was filmed deliberately driving into a rider, crushing his bike.
A moment of madness as a roadside argument between a motorist and cyclists suddenly becomes a hit run.
It started down the road because the cyclist believed that the car was swerving into them.
Then the Saturday morning spat intensified opposite the St Kilda Marina.
I'll destroy you. I've got money. I've got money. You brought this white car. Is that your white car? Just your little white car.
They were just yelling at each other, and the guy in the car was saying, "I'm going to ring the police."
I heard some screaming and carrying on, so I poked my head over the fence. Some bike riders had surrounded a vehicle. They were in pretty heavy discussion. Extremely aggressive.
He must have got scared because there were so many guys. So he decided he was going to drive off.
And the Mercedes driver didn't let a cyclist get in his way.
He just kept on driving. In the process of coming out, the other bike riders started to kick his car.
The cyclist was left on the road.
He was really angry because he was saying it was a $3,000 wheel.
Police were called and have spoken with the cyclists. Officers have also caught up with the Mercedes driver, but are yet to decide who should be charged. Both sides culpable, according to witnesses.
Initially, the aggression by the bike riders, then for him to drive off and have somebody mount his bonnet and not check what he was like afterwards, you could say he has some blame there too.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
The AFL finals take centre stage this week, but Tim Watson, there's plenty of focus on the fallout at Carlton.
There is, Mitch. They've been locked away in meetings all day. Chief football reporter Tom Brown is across the latest developments. And Tom, the future of coach David Teague remains unclear.
Tim, an incredible day. David Teague, the Carlton coach, has been given an surprise stay of coaching execution when all the key players arrived, as you can see early this morning. It looks like his time was up, but in a huge surprise, two significant developments. Carlton issued a statement for the first time in a couple of months, not backing Teague. They did say they'll take their time to digest the contents of the review and won't bow to external pressure regarding the timing. And instead of bringing Teague into a meeting to sack him, they in fact briefed him on the review and asked for his input into the findings. Now, in terms of what this means for Teague, and in particular Carlton's timeline on a decision, we'll have more shortly in sport.
Thanks, Tom. Also, I heard, Mitch, how the Demons are dealing with the pressure of being minor premiers heading into the finals. I'll see you again soon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tim. A war veteran is in a heartbreaking battle for COVID compassion. Next, he's sick and suffering, and he needs to be with his family, but he's being blocked from entering Victoria. Also, why our parcels are facing delays. A first for our Paralympians as Tokyo prepares to burst back to life. And later, top scientists reveal why your personality could be the key to losing weight. That's coming up. Some parcels won't be arriving this Friday after thousands of drivers for distribution company Toll Group were given the all clear to go on strike. Soaring transport costs are placing pressure on pay negotiations.
We've got a toll management team that seems intent to use COVID to try and attack the job security of workers.
There are now fears Christmas shopping could also be delayed. The daughters of a Vietnam veteran are pleading with the state government to let him return to Victoria. The grief-stricken grandfather recently had 2 major surgeries and lost his wife, but sits alone in New South Wales.
Robert Wood is a Vietnam veteran, but it's now his daughter who's fighting for him.
Dad's fought for the country, he's done all the right things, and I just think that he should have a chance of being able to just be with his daughters. He's got nowhere else to go.
The 77-year-old lives in New South Wales. His wife died in March, and 2 major surgeries mean living alone isn't safe.
He's actually in a 3-storey split-level home where he can't really manage the stairs. He's not coping very well with anything, really.
Nikki is homeschooling her children and can't travel to New South Wales. She applied for an exemption to bring him to Victoria, and although she included his negative COVID tests and letters from his doctors, it was denied.
He's absolutely devastated. He just does not know why he doesn't know what to do.
This is cruel and it's callous. Where is the compassion by this government?
Her last hope was reaching out to the Neil Mitchell program.
We have no immediate family in New South Wales or Victoria, really, just my sister and I. That's our family and Dad. And all we were asking is if we could possibly just get Dad down here so we could take care of him.
The Premier has instructed the Department of Health to review the case. Chanel Vella, 7 News.
Police Minister Lisa Neville was back at work today. Ms Neville has been on sick leave for 5 months as she battled Crohn's disease flare-ups. She will continue her roles as Minister for Water and Police and remain in charge of Quarantine Victoria. America's east coast was bracing for a hurricane, but when it hit, Henri was a tropical storm. Making landfall over Rhode Island, it left more than 130,000 homes without power and shattered rainfall records in New York. The news, not bad for all, especially thrill seekers. The Paralympics opening ceremony is only 24 hours away, and tonight we can exclusively reveal who will carry the flag. This time, 2 proud athletes have the honour, celebrating one of the best teams Australia has ever produced.
2 mighty leaders already so cherished by their Paralympic teammates, now with their greatest honour.
It's so hard to put words into this one to describe how, proud we are.
We've worked so hard on creating really good community and good culture, and I feel incredibly proud to be able to lead.
Danny DeToro and Riley Batt were officially unveiled as our opening ceremony flag bearers in a secret garden in the middle of Tokyo.
I feel like when I think about them that I feel incredibly humbled by it.
The first wheelchair duo ever to carry the flag for an Australian Paralympic team will be our only athletes there tomorrow night, the harsh reality in a COVID world.
We'll figure it out and we'll just be, out there proud as punch and represent Australia, so that's what matters.
We showed them the piece narrated by Riley that will open Seven's coverage tomorrow night. You'll see then why they reacted like this.
Jeez. Awesome.
Wow, you guys have nailed that.
So this is it. The stage for an opening ceremony anticipated like none before, where Danny and Riley will lead our nation proud, loyal and fierce for the whole world to see. The spectacle that will bring the games to life, the final sprinkling of magic dust applied, we're promised an opening ceremony of Japanese wonder and awe. In Tokyo, Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
And we'll bring you the Paralympic Games opening ceremony at 9:15 p.m. tomorrow. Then you can watch the best of the action every day from midday here on 7. Jane Bunn joins us now. And Jane, what a change from one day to the next.
Mitch, it went from warm sunshine to cold and wet. At midnight, it was still up on 19 degrees. Then it rained with great lightning in the distance and the temperature dropped to 11. We took a short break this morning, then a trough let showers surge through. They are cold with wintry hail and it goes wet, dry, wet, dry. It is chilly. After a top of 14, it was just 11 mid-afternoon and 9 later. Now tomorrow's another chilly one. The full details after sport, Mitch.
Thanks, Jane. See you then. Next, an update on the police search for 2 children taken from their home. Also, we take you inside a police sting. Our cameras are there for a takedown as police get tough on crime in the suburbs. Also, a breakthrough that will help more Victorians to have children. And America strikes a deal with the Taliban in desperate times. Returning now to the desperate search for 2 children who've been abducted from their home in Melbourne's east. Tegan Doling is at Blackburn North, and Tegan, police are throwing all resources at this.
They are, Mitch, because we are in the 10th hour of this search. Detectives are actually still inside the family home here behind me. They are searching for any piece of evidence which may lead them to whoever abducted the brother and sister. They've also actually set up a command post behind me too. It was 8:45 this morning when an armed intruder has broken into the family home, assaulted the mother and then bound and gagged her. When he was taking off, he took the children as well as the family's black Mercedes. Now tonight, Mitch, the mother remains in hospital. She's being treated for her injuries. The father was actually at work when this all happened and he is now down at the police station helping with this investigation. And tonight, Mitch, police have called in officers from right around the state. They are all pulling together as they continue the search for the brother and sister. Mitch.
Tegan Dolling at Blackburn North, thank you. $12 million worth of cannabis has been taken off Melbourne streets. Police seized the drugs in a series of raids across the suburbs. Cassie Zervos was there as it happened.
Cannabis plants by the truckload, a major crime syndicate taken down by our most senior detectives. 12 arrests made in less than 12 months, including these two accused ringleaders this morning.
We've disrupted or dismantled even a fairly sophisticated organised crime syndicate that's been trafficking and cultivating cannabis all across metropolitan Melbourne.
The crop houses disguised as industrial factories to throw authorities off the scent. Since the first bust last October, 11 Melbourne hothouses have been raided under Operation Crawl.
Up until today, we'd seized nearly 6,000 cannabis plants, weighing a total of nearly 4,000 kilograms. It's quite daunting to think how much drugs would be out there.
Almost 12 months of tenacious police work has led officers to this moment. The crops will now be taken away to be forensically examined before being destroyed.
We're really happy that this will take quite a substantial amount of cannabis supply off the streets.
Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
America has negotiated with the Taliban to allow more foreigners and Afghans to get to Kabul airport safely and out of the country. The deal's been done as the situation on the ground becomes increasingly dangerous.
Crowd control at Kabul airport. This is the gate to the temporary British embassy there, and these people are desperate to get in.
I'm a British citizen and I've got my kids are British and they're stuck here. They closed the door at us.
Chaos still reigns around Afghanistan's one official exit point. Here, Zakia Kudadadi, who was to be Afghanistan's first Paralympian, trapped. And here, two children apparently left behind by their parents.
Mr. Biden, you did this. You planned this. You made the deal with the Taliban.
The Australian rescue mission saw another 450 evacuated on 4 flights. A total now of over 1,000 airlifted.
It is certainly an absolutely punishing environment.
But the Foreign Minister confirming today talks are underway to extend the August 31 deadline.
We are part of those discussions, and if they are to be extended, we are absolutely ready to support a continuing operation.
The US President is resisting.
Our hope is we will not have to extend.
And the Taliban is warning the date is a red line.
If they are intent on continuing the occupation, so it will provoke a reaction.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
Back home, Melbourne scientists are celebrating a breakthrough in IVF development. A womb molecule has been identified which could help doctors narrow down the best timing to implant an embryo.
Harper Hill turns 1 tomorrow. Her start in life thanks to IVF.
She's gorgeous. We're so lucky.
Melbourne researchers have made a critical breakthrough to help more people wanting children, a golden window that can help lead to conception. And it all comes down to a single molecule.
The human uterus is covered by a Teflon-like molecule, which makes it slippery and prevents embryos from implanting.
Researchers found the odds of women falling pregnant were higher when the molecule was absent.
It needs to disappear at the right time to make sure that the embryo, when it arrives from the fallopian tube, can actually stick to the linings.
Work is now underway to develop a simple diagnostic test for women already undergoing fertility treatment, and that will enable doctors to pinpoint the ideal timing for an embryo to be transferred.
What we hope to achieve is that one day we can assess real time and non-invasively see the surface of the uterus to see whether it's ready or not.
Because when making a baby, timing is everything, and that'll come in handy when the Hills are ready to give Harper a sibling. Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
We have an update on our COVID exposure sites coming up. Next, the latest on the danger zones across Melbourne. Up-to-the-minute details. Also, why your personality could be the key to losing weight. New research from our top scientists. Qantas offering jab rewards for vaccinated passengers. And how a schoolboy's simple idea made a difference in Melbourne's lockdown gloom. Victoria's COVID crisis is deepening by the day. 71 new cases today and dozens were out in the community while infectious. There are now 600 exposure sites across the state as contact tracers face an uphill battle to get on top of these outbreaks. The new Tier 1 exposure sites stretch from the southwest to Bayside and to the north. The Brighton BMW is a Tier 1 exposure site for 4 days last week. The Emmanuel Medical Centre in St Albans is a Tier 1 for last Thursday afternoon. Several new Tier 2 sites have been added: Moonee Ponds, Flemington, Braybrook, Cheltenham and Ascot Vale. One of the big worries right now is how many children are getting COVID. 21 of the 29 COVID patients in Victorian hospitals are under the age of 50. One of those in intensive care is in their 20s. There's one in their 30s and 5 in their 40s. And the biggest worry, a baby is in hospital with COVID. Now, here's Gemma Acton with Finance News.
Thanks, Peter. Well, after a straight run of losses last week, the ASX 200 has posted a 29-point rise to end the day at 7,490. Bucking the trend, NIB dropped 11%, with a health insurer saying patients are still delaying surgery and routine checkups due to fears of contracting COVID-19. Over the weekend, the Aussie dollar fell further. It's now buying 71.6 US cents, while iron ore staged a tentative recovery. And with wine exports to China collapsing, as shown in this chart, on the back of hefty tariffs introduced last year, our producers are now looking to boost sales to other markets, including the UK, South Korea and Singapore. Peter.
Gemma Acton reporting. Qantas has launched a vaccination campaign offering rewards to passengers who've been immunised. The airline's also released a new ad showing what life after lockdowns might look like. Hopefully, from tomorrow, frequent flyers can get points, status credits or a flight discount if they are fully vaccinated. Australia's largest weight loss investigation has revealed success with dieting may depend on your personality type. The study shows we're a nation of thinkers and battlers.
When it comes to personality types, 29-year-old Kayleen Noose is certain of one thing.
Absolutely knew that I was a craver, basically seafood, eat food.
She's spent years trying to find a diet that works and learned the hard way the one-size-fits-all approach rarely does.
Well, people are motivated by different things. They're inspired to start a health journey by different people or for different reasons.
After studying almost 250,000 Australians, scientists at the CSIRO identified 6 main personality groups: the thinker, the battler, the craver, the pleaser, the foodie and the socialiser.
I'm definitely the craver because if I see something that's absolutely delicious in front of me, I'm going to eat it.
Researchers say cravers have the most weight to lose, while foodies are more likely to stick to their diet.
It's important that people kind of acknowledge their diet types, their personalities. We can't necessarily change it, but we need to work with what we've got.
Kayleen certainly has and says the results speak for themselves.
37 kilos in, just over 12 months, so absolutely blown away.
Experts say pinpointing your ideal diet and committing to it will not only help you lose weight, but ensure you keep it off. The Wellbeing Diet teaches you how to make healthier choices, even once the 12-week program's complete.
Trust the science, honestly, it works.
Casey Treloar, 7 News.
A boy's burst of boredom has brought joy to Carlton. Archie Stoic took his local walk in a dinosaur suit and it was a winning move.
Everyone was smiling and laughing. Everyone was taking pictures of me and it was so crazy.
So crazy indeed. Archie's a social media hit and he's taking it all in his stride. Good on you, Archie. Sports next with Tim Watson. And Tim, our Victorian clubs are facing plenty of hurdles ahead of the final.
They are, Mitch. The league has briefed the clubs today with the Cats already heading into quarantine. Details ahead. Also, how the defensive duo at the Demons are dealing with the pressure of being minor premiers. More accolades could be coming Buddy's way as a Giants star seeks redemption. Hear from Eddie Betts as Carlton delay a call on the future of David Teague, and Ash Barty in winning form heading into the US Open. Welcome back. We have new details tonight on how September will play out. Chief Football reporter Tom Brown has the inside word from a briefing with finals clubs. And Tom, an announcement on the grand final can't be far away.
The announcement will be made this week. Good evening, Tim. The clubs told today prepare at this stage for Perth. They were even asked to submit their lists today on who are the essential staff that are expected to make the trip. I think Sydney and the Giants expect the winner of that game to stay in Tasmania this weekend and play their second final down there as well. Now on David Teague, no indication from Carlton officially on his future today. In terms of what the week looks like for the Carlton coach, he'll run the football exit interviews with the players, also obviously oversee their medicals. He'll also have an opportunity to participate in his feedback on the football review findings. In terms of the timing on Carlton's decision, they tell me today they'll take all the time they need to make the right decision. This was Eddie Betts early this afternoon on how Teague is faring.
Yeah, it has been pretty tough, but I guess he's doing okay. And like he said after the game, we wish he had more support from the football club. So, but yeah, he's doing okay. I spoke to him. And we'll see what happens.
And Tim, just finally on the Suns, they're at home in hard 14-day lockdown. Certainly no discussions regarding Stuart Hughes' future or whether they'll go after Pies captain Scott Pendlebury with a long-term deal.
Thanks, Tom. The South Australian Health Department could stand in the way of an ideal preparation for Geelong's Friday night qualifying final. Andrew McCormack has the details, and Andrew, Cat Stars have already ended COVID lockdown.
Tim, as of 6 p.m. tonight, Geelong players and staff are only allowed to leave their homes to go to the club for training. That's it for the rest of the week. The Cats have requested now to fly to South Australia on Thursday, a day earlier instead of same-day travel this Friday. It means they would avoid this 6-hour wait in the cricket nets at Adelaide Oval. They were forced to do that in round 13. Players slept under massage tables, stuck inside until they all produced negative COVID tests. Now, they did actually go on and beat Port Adelaide that Friday night in June, but the Cats desperate to avoid a similar build-up. At this stage, the South Australian Health Department is digging their heels in. As we mentioned earlier, teams likely to spend September on the road, so any team that playing interstate that was based in Victoria after leaving week 1 of the finals won't return here. Clubs have been told to pack for up to 5 weeks. At this stage, no families or partners allowed to travel, so if they do make the final Saturday in September, it'll be a long month, sacrificing away from families to keep that premiership dream alive. Tim?
It will, thanks Macca. The Demons aren't shying away from the pressures of heading into the finals as the team to beat. Decades of heartache hoping to be erased over the next month of footy.
Taking the tag of minor premiers into a final series might be unfamiliar territory, but these Demons are ready to raise hell.
We sort of talk about that pressure is a privilege. If you've got pressure on you, it means that you're doing something right.
Melbourne's breakthrough season now counts for little as they chase their first flag in 57 years.
Yeah, so we don't really have any excuses, I suppose. This year I just feel like it's all sort of like the perfect storm. Last couple of years that we've built some resilience.
And they head into Saturday's clash with Brisbane, buoyed by Max Gawn's remarkable goal after the siren at the Cattery.
So I just sort of said, we have you back, and whatever happens, we still love you.
I didn't watch. I think I bobbed down and I just waited for the cheer.
Jake Lever and Stephen May now considered the competition's deadliest duo down back, but it hasn't always been smooth sailing.
I remember the first couple of years we ran into each other a lot.
Nathan Jones remains the heart and soul of the playing group despite being stranded on the sidelines since round 16.
The way that he walks into the club each day, you wouldn't know it all, and there's still an opportunity there for him. We're not counting him out or anything like that. He's been playing some bloody good football in the twos.
The chase for premiership glory, all for the long-suffering Demons supporters.
We've just come up with a concept that we just want to make the fans as proud as possible and the past players proud as possible.
Tim Hipsley, 7 News.
Toby Green has extra motivation heading into the elimination final against the Swans. The Giants vice-captain recently served a suspension for his elbow on Patrick Dangerfield. That's on top of being forced to pull out of the derby in round 18 after visiting a Tier 1 exposure site.
I was pretty frustrated. I don't think I took the news too well. The suspension was frustrating, but it is what it is. It's done now, and I'm looking forward to playing 4 finals in a row.
The Swans will monitor the fitness of Josh Kennedy and Callum Mills this week. And the 40-man All-Australian squad has just been announced, with Buddy Franklin aiming to become the first player to earn his 9th blazer. There are just 7 nominated from last year's team, with 21 players hoping for their first selection. Among them, Blues duo Sam Walsh and Harry Mackay, Jake Lever and Stephen May among 7 Demons. More fresh faces include Darcy Parish and Bailey Dale, while Brownlow favourite Ollie Wines is in line for his first All-Australian blazer. Patrick Dangerfield and Travis Boak, the shock omissions. The final team is announced on Thursday night. And Ash Barty is heading into next week's US Open in New York at the peak of her powers. The world #1 thrashed Swiss wildcard Jill Teichmann in straight sets, 6-3, 6-1 in the final of the Cincinnati Open, and didn't lose a set in the entire tournament. Ash also invited her team on the court to celebrate her 5th title of the season. She rarely puts a foot wrong. Mitch, that's sport.
Good luck. Thank you very much indeed, Tim. Jane is next with the forecast, and Jane, it looks cold again tomorrow.
Mitch, it doesn't warm up again until the weekend, and tomorrow is the chilliest. The full details are next.
Tonight on the latest from 7 News, the truth about our 80% vaccination target, when we'll reach that milestone, and the most important age group who could stop COVID transmission in its tracks. Plus, what the current COVID lockdowns mean for the future of the AFL and NRL. Join me for the latest from 7 News at 11.
Hello again. Temperatures have tumbled after a cold front swept through. After 22 yesterday, it was still up on 19 at midnight. We dropped to 11 this morning and only reached 14 today. Now, the morning didn't look too bad out the window, and the temperature dropped again. It has been less than 10 degrees since late afternoon in lots of showers. A band of rain slowly crossed eastern Victoria today. A short break followed, then showers spread through right up into New South Wales. In those are rumbles of thunder and wintry hail, and the air is cold. Today's weather comes in 2 parts, as there's the initial cold front, then that trough to follow. Once that front hits the warm waters of the Tasman Sea, a low will be rapidly developing just off Sydney. This will be a feature for the rest of the week. For us tonight, that band of rain slowly clears the far east. Showers dry up over the north, but do keep going across the south. That band of rain may be enough for minor flooding to affect these rivers: the McAllister, Upper Murray, Mitta and Kiewa rivers. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we get the wraparound from that low off Sydney. We're looking at widespread showers across the south, tending to persistent rain in the far east, but generally dry north of the ranges. To end the week, it continues in Gippsland, but Melbourne and the southwest take a break and the north continues dry. It will have been quite chilly for a few days and it'll start to thaw out on Friday. Around the nation tomorrow, with that low bombing off Sydney, they're looking at 45 to 90 millimetres of rain, as well as howling winds and dangerous surf. 15 to 25 millimetres of rain in Canberra, gusty showers in Brisbane. The rest generally dry, but showers and thunderstorms return to the top end. To Victoria, generally dry north of the ranges, but cloud at times. In the south, lots of showers streaming through, and it does tend to persistent rain anywhere east of about Bairnsdale. It is windy in that southeast corner too, that's closest to the low, but it's only alpine areas that have the risk of damaging winds, close to the threshold on the central ranges, but not quite. The rest are okay. Closer in, showers clear during the morning, and it could actually be quite dry for much of the day tomorrow and There's lots of sunshine, sunny but cold. Then showers come back in, all of that blue there for late afternoon and evening. So showers clear early morning in the city. It looks quite sunny during the day tomorrow until showers return from late afternoon. But in that sunshine, it is just 13 and breezy. To the 8-day outlook, there's lots more showers coming in on Wednesday. It's a top of 14. On Thursday, we've got a thick cover of grey overhead, 14 degrees. You can't rule out a shower, but most should be dry. A bit more sunshine comes in for Friday, 5 to start, a top of 15. Still can't rule out a shower with that low off the coast. Saturday's the pick of the weekend, sunny and 18. It is 13 tomorrow. Showers early and late, but it could actually be quite sunny for the middle of the day, Mitch.
I like that 20 on the outlook too. Thank you very much, Jane. Now here's what's on Sunrise in the morning.
Thanks, Mitch. When you wake up, never pay full price again.
How to bag a bargain on everything you buy. See you in the morning, Melbourne.
And that's the way it is this Monday, the 23rd of August. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.